What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 139. And today we are going to break down the week that was in week number 12. With me, as always, from right down that hallway, my best friend, the commissioner of this great league, and not to be forgotten, a three-time champion of this league, Ben Nisman. Benny, how you feeling today after this matchup with Bryan Lebo?
Feeling good, Joe, and I appreciate the introduction every single time. It never gets old. Thank you so much. This was probably the least riveting week we've had so far. To start off the second half of our season, we had one matchup we anticipated to be the matchup of the week. It certainly held up to be just that, and we'll get into it, as well as one upset that we're going to get into. Aside from that, not exactly the most thrilling of matchups, not the most exciting week, but still a lot of fun, and we still got a whole lot to go. So let's start breaking it down. Joe, as always, please lead us off, my man.
Let's get going, boys. It's time to start the second half, and let's dive right into the first matchup here. Benji, it's your matchup with Bryan Lebo, as I talked about. This was a really, really fun one. But the one thing I find most interesting, sir, was that you found yourself Sunday looking at this thing as if you were going to lose.
Yeah, no question. And shame on me for that because I've always got on other people, you, a Mike Haber, a Jason, a Josh, Bobby, people that made predictions, even on Sunday, of what was going to happen. And I say, shame on you. That's disrespecting baseball. That's saying that you think you know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. And the truth is, none of us really know how it's going to shake out. It's just that on Sunday, Bryan started clubbing the ball in the first hour and a half, and he got four doubles really quickly, and the bomb and the stolen base, and he had plenty more at bats to go, and none of his relief pitchers had come in yet. I was only up by one at a time, and it just felt, based on the numbers, what it was panning out, it looked like he was going to flip this thing. I wasn't going to get killed, something like a 9-8, something like a 10-9, something like an 11-10, maybe even a 10-8. That's what I was anticipating. Bryan never got the lead yesterday. He actually never at any point had a lead in front of me on Sunday. I had this the whole way. I just didn't see it. And you were right. You didn't have a doubt in your mind that this was going to look pretty on my end. And it certainly ended up being that way.
Yeah, I had to remind the three-time champion just exactly who he was and how
Thank
this
you.
was going to play. On Sunday, it did start out 11-6. It finishes 12-6. Stolen bases were tied, like you mentioned. Bryan got that. Errors, Bryan had a one error lead, and he took one to tie that category. Losses were tied. Ben, you sacrificed that one. But you ended up getting walks by a pitcher back as Bryan had a three walk lead and gave you that one back. So again, 11-6 going in, 12-6 coming out. Close categories. Ben, holy crap here. You won by 2 runs, a double, a homer, 4 RBIs, 7 ticks on the on base percentage, a win, a walk by a pitcher, and 2 relief appearances. That is, by my calculations, 8 close categories this week. What an incredible run here. All the coin flips falling in your favor. For Lebo, he wins by the stolen base and the 2 losses that we mentioned. You guys tied in triples, errors, and of all things, saves.
I
Interestingly
know.
enough.
Yeah. Most frustrating part of that, Joe, is of course the last save to be had. It was Jake Diekman. It was in the Sunday night game yesterday for the Mets. I had benched him, obviously knowing how erratic he was. I figured he'd find a way into this game, but when you're leading by one walk given up, am I really going for a save, assuming Jake Diekman's going to do it when I've already locked up relief appearances? No way, no way. That would be so stupid. But my God, all I had to do was forget to check my team on Sunday night, and I would have ended up winning this thing 13-6 with an extra save. So definitely a bummer, definitely something I'm thinking about, but I have to remind myself I was never considering doing that. And the only reason he ends up with this save is because Diaz gets thrown out of the game, and then Drew Smith can't even get the job done. So circumstantially does he get this save, but It still was there. It was on the bench, and it was there for the taking.
No doubt. On your bench this week, sir, you go a nice 7 for 23.
Oh yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
304.
You nailed it, sir. 304 batting average, 2 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. For your moves this week, you started off with a triple of Luis Garcia, Will Vest, and Michael Busch, dropping Danny Jimenez, Stephen Okert, and Caleb Ferguson. Luis Garcia gave you a clean relief appearance. Will Vest, a not so clean relief appearance. And Michael Busch, 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer and a walk. Very nice there. You dropped Will Vest and JT Chargois for Byron Buxton, 1 for 4 with a run, a double, and a strikeout. Dropped that guy for Joe Mantiply, a clean relief appearance. Dropped Gavin Lux for Johnny Brito, 2-inning relief appearance. Dropped DJ LeMahieu for Slade Ciccone, 3 innings, a loss, 2 strikeouts, a 3, and a 1.67 whip in Philadelphia. Your MVP this week, Benjamin, who is it?
Ooh, it's either Abrams or Santana.
I would go with Abrams, although Santana did have quite a week for you. 444 with a 474 for Abrams, 5 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 3 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. But Carlos Santana, a 350 average and a 435 on base. This dude is having himself a year, Benji. He's having himself a season.
3 runs, 2 doubles, a home run, 1 RBI, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Yeah, this is my 12th pick, and it was certainly a bold one, probably one I could have waited a couple rounds for, but securing my first baseman and my right fielder in the 12th and the 13th round as the third pick going out and around, it had to be Santana and Blackman. I just could not risk that those guys wouldn't come back to me, that someone was thinking, let me steal this from Ben and make him trade for it. But yeah, I stuck with him. He started off really cold, Joe. Yeah, it was something like a 215, 218 average. But I just stuck with him, knowing that the more at bats he gets, the warmer the weather gets, the longer the season goes, Carlos Santana gets better. And 38 years old, but he seems to be very, very locked in and not swinging at dumb pitches. Like he's definitely swinging a lot more. I've noticed that walk rate is down for Carlos Santana, but the doubles are up. The fact that the shift is gone, I think he's benefited from. He's batting better from the right hand side. So getting better with age like wine is Carlos Santana. And yeah, as long as he's given the right types of rest time from Rocco Baldelli, I feel like he should be in a good position to stay healthy the entire year.
No doubt. He's having quite a season, on pace for another 20 homer season in Minnesota. And you know what? They're going to be pushing for the playoffs. So it's not like he's going to be going anywhere.
Oh yeah, and honestly, he's on pace for 30 right now. He's got 12.
Yeah.
So
Your least valuable hitter is going to be your number 1 pick in Juan Soto, 158 batting average, but a 407 on base because, of course, he walks a ton. 4 runs, an RBI, 8 walks, 6 strikeouts, but 2 errors is pretty surprising to see out of a guy who plays the outfield.
yeah, horrible. He had one on Wednesday and then he had another one on Saturday and oh no, sorry, Tuesday and Saturday. But yeah, what the hell? Like, I mean, just the fact that he costs me one statistic by himself that we could have won, and instead it's a tied statistic strictly because of him. That's horrible. I'm grateful that I was able to get a triple from Will Smith with his error just to tie that category. This was obviously a full team effort from the pitching and the hitting because when Juan Soto is your least valuable player, then you need to make lemonade somehow with the rest of your guys.
No doubt. And when you get that bad week from Soto, you certainly doubled up Bryan Lebo. So that's a great week to have. And it could have been a lot worse if that guy performs. The Cy Young this week goes to Nestor Cortez. 13 innings, a win, a loss, a bomb, 13 strikeouts, a 208 ERA, and an 077 whip. The Cy Yuck goes to Taijuan Walker. 4 innings, a loss, 3 bombs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 9, a 2, and a trip to the IL, sir.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Horrible timing. I'm losing guys by the day. Blackman goes down, and then just like that, Taijuan Walker goes down. And now I'm dealing with a really, really difficult roster construction issue. And I'm playing with 22 guys now, and it's going to be tougher. It's almost to the point where I might have to let go of a Dustin May just to save roster spots. So yeah, it's not pretty. Taiwan Walker was horrendous, but it looks like there's an explanation for that. But good call on the Cy Young. Nestor Cortez, 13 innings, 13 strikeouts. The key here, 0 walks. He gave up a
Yeah.
bomb, but 0 walks among those 13 innings. And that turns out to be so critical when I just won that category by only one.
Nestor Cortez on the season has a 3.40 ERA, so he's been pitching quite well for you here this year over his first 100 innings. We'll see how he does in the second half, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down. He doesn't seem to be slowing down in any capacity.
No, and the fact that he had that horrendous start on opening day to Houston. So, like, you throw that one out, the ERA looks even better. So, since his first start, and even the second one was shaky, he's really been cruising since then. So, this trade is feeling better and better every day.
No doubt. For
Especially
Bryan,
the fact that my MVP and my Cy Young this week were from the trade. And last week we gave it to CJ Abrams as well.
He's
And Nestor
absolutely on
Cortez,
fire.
both of them.
Yeah, they've been on fire the last 2 weeks, man. They've been absolutely crushing it for you. For Bryan on his bench this week, Ben, he goes 8 for 24.
Wow. Did I really get that lucky? All right, so that's a 1 for 3, 333.
Correct, with 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. The 4 runs play, the 2 doubles play, the 2 homers play, the 6 RBIs play. Absolutely insane. 4 categories he could have flipped, but there was a lot on the bench there. An IKF 2-homer day on the bench was the big one that he needed to get into the lineup there. For his moves this week, he started off by adding JP Fireeisen and dropping Ian Hamilton. Fireeisen was not good. He dropped Fireeisen for Enyel De Los Santos. Dropped Jose Trevino for Freddie Fermin, 1 for 4 with an RBI and a strikeout. Dropped Freddie Fermin for Pedro Pages, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. He dropped Sam Mole for Andre Palante, 5 1/3, a win, a bomb, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, an 844 and a 188 against San Francisco. And drops Palante for Andrew Nardi for a clean relief appearance. Finishes it out dropping on Adrian Morihone for Tim Meza, who did not appear, and dropped Ryan O'Hearn for Manny Margot, 1 for 4. He used, looks like 8.
All 10. No, he used all 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 8.
No, I mean, I
have 8.
Sure you, because I looked yesterday to make sure he didn't have any left going into the Sunday night game. So he might have missed a couple, but he used that.
All right. Well, his MVP this week is going to be Josh Naylor. 400 with a 423 on base percentage, 7 runs, 3 doubles, 3 bombs, 8 RBIs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. This dude is for real hitting right behind Jose Ramirez this year. 244 average, 20 bombs, almost 60 RBIs already.
Yeah, and I feel like he had close to 100 last year. I mean, this guy does not, when you look at him, he does not profile like a baseball player. He doesn't look like he'd be good. He doesn't look like he'd be threatening or intimidating at the box. I feel like when I look at him, I see like Jeremy Burnitz, just a guy that's going to strike out nearly 220 times a season, probably give you 30 bombs and not much else. But no, right now this guy seems like a good player. He's never going to be a player that I can trust just based on like my trepidations on him. But yeah, he's definitely outperformed what I expected in the last couple of years, even.
No doubt. No doubt. The least valuable hitter this week goes to Nick Gonzalez, an 059 with a 111 on base, a run, an RBI, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Nothing really coming from that guy this week. The Cy Young is going to be Tyler Glasnow, 7 innings, a win, a bomb, 10 strikeouts, a 129 and an 029 whip. The Cy Young goes to Tristan McKenzie, who was not good at all. 5 1/3, a loss, 3 bombs, 8 walks, 6 strikeouts, an 11.81 ERA, and a 2.63 whip. That's across 2 different starts.
Yeah, for sure. Great.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Benjamin, you got yourself quite a win this week over Mr. Lebo. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Not the most important win I can have this season. It's more important to beat the guys that are in front of you or around you. But Bryan's a bad team, and they say you got to beat the bad teams when they're on your schedule. So I did that. I'm feeling badly because just when I look at these statistics, Bryan is really not ahead or strong in any subject, really. I mean, just innings pitched, he's 9-3 against opponents. He's 7-5 in losses against opponents, 6-5 in saves, 8-4 in strikeouts, and 7-5 in relief appearances. But aside from that, fairly under 500 in everything, specifically the offensive stats. When I look at the totals, he's not ahead or near the top in anything. So he's not, I don't want to say he's dead yet because there are 10 weeks left and there is an opportunity to go on a run. When you look at how many stats you are from a playoff spot, you know, you could be in striking distance in a couple of weeks, but he needs a lot of help. So I'm absolutely concerned. And I felt like I played about the most tidy of a matchup that I could based on the circumstances, based on the fact that he hit the crap out of the ball this week. Like, where the hell did this come from? 293, 60 hits over 205 at bats. He hasn't done that all season. So, of course, that's what I face when I have a 261 average. But I try to make the most of it. I made a mistake on Tuesday benching Michael Busch, and he went 2 for 4 with a double. I made up for it the next day. I pick up Byron Buxton. He gets me the double in his final at bat. There's the double to win the category. Even though I was running low on ads, I would pick up relievers, hold them for a second day. They come in the second day in a row. I end up winning that, even though 20, it's a pretty low number for me in relief appearances because I used 3 ads on Monday and I knew I was shorthanded. Did as much as I could to win that category on Sunday. I pulled that out. Even picking up the Arizona starter, Shoshone, it was because I hadn't made the minimum going into Sunday. And I'm fearing, you know what, at 3 a.m., I got Mike Haber on Savale. Adam Lowenstein picking up Kyle Parker or whatever the hell the guy's name was that started for Miami yesterday. But they couldn't take the risk that on 3 a.m. my guys are gone. I don't end up making the minimum. Turns out I didn't need Ciccone, but my thought process was the Phillies had just scored 12 runs on Saturday, and then the next game's at 11 a.m. So like maybe they won't out of the gate be too hot offensively. Ciccone, he only throws 3 innings, and I'm like, geez, now I need a huge start out of Nestor Cortez, or I actually might be in fear of not making the minimum. He goes 7 and the bullpen comes in. I never really needed the Ciccone start, but I couldn't take that risk, man. So I made that pickup on Saturday night. And I dropped a bench player for him because I was like, you know what? Let me get him now. So I'm not fighting with people on Sunday. Let me lock up these innings. Let me make sure I make the minimum. So with staring down the barrel of the gun of not making the minimum, feeling like Bryan's got a large head, he's got an ad advantage. He's got 2 more ads to make on Sunday if he wants to on relievers. He did. And to still pull off that category, a lot of these pitching categories. Johnny Brito, bro, on Saturday night, I go with this guy. I'm like, great. He comes into the game, gets 2 outs, hit, walk, salami. Didn't take the loss, but like, thanks for the help. You know what I mean? Like now ERA is all of a sudden in play. If his pitchers pitch well and mine pitch like shit. And now I got to go with Ciccone against Philly. That feels really good right now. And while I'm thinking about this, in comes Kyle Finnegan to save the game against Colorado. Doesn't even record an out and blows the save with the infinite ERA, the whip, and the loss. Thanks, Kyle. But he made up for it the next day with the save. But I dealt with a lot of shit on Saturday in the first couple of hours on Sunday. That's the end of my rant, man. But like, I grinded this crap out. And this is 4 weeks in a row with a win, and I've had to grind the hell out of each one of them.
And you're sitting pretty in third place after all of that grinding, sir. So it's well worth the grind when you can get the wins. That's what's important. You don't want to grind out losses; those things suck. So good job keeping yourself in the playoff hunt here, sir. Let's move on to my matchup here with Henry Collins there. and I get a nice 12-8 win. Ben, what'd you see here?
Oh man, well, I saw two very interesting tides to the week. The first was you hitting the hell out of the ball, specifically Philadelphia Phillies, but then not pitching so well. A John Gray start from the Texas Rangers against the Mets. Pretty unpretty. And then what does Henry do? He throws Luis Heel. Why not? He's been basically the Cy Young of the American League, and he does basically the same thing as John Gray did. And then all of a sudden, many more of these stats are in play. Joe's feeling very healthy in this matchup, and he's hitting the crap out of the ball all week. All week, you did not stop hitting, specifically for power, Joe. But my God, this was an onslaught, and I think you would have dominated a lot of teams this week just based on your offense.
Yeah, it felt pretty good to finally have an offensive breakout this week. It was 11-7 going in, comes out 12-8 as we split a couple of ties here. We were tied in errors. I took an error on Sunday, but I got the win on Sunday from Framber Valdez to untie that category, and that's how we get 12-8. Close categories this week. I win by the win, 2 saves and 4 relief appearances. Henry wins by the triple, 3 strikeouts and an error, and we tied in losses. For me on my bench this week, Benjamin, I go a nice 5 for 17.
Great. 307.
It's a 294, kept it under 300 this week.
Okay.
4 runs, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. None of that would have played because I won runs, homers, and RBIs, lost steals by 4, and 1 walks. So there you have it. I did, in fact, use all 10 moves. Started out with Jacob Webb started out with Wandy Peralta for TJ McFarland for a clean relief appearance. Added Mark Leiter Jr. for a bad relief appearance, dropping Austin Adams. Added Jacob Webb for Mark Leiter Jr. for a clean relief appearance, and dropped Orlando Arcia to activate Trey Turner. Thank you for coming back, Trey. Added Seth Martinez, who apparently doesn't pitch for the Houston Astros because he never got into the game, dropping Wandy Peralta. Added Gleyber Torres on a waiver claim, 0 for 3 with a run, an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout for Jeff McNeil. I know that made my co-host rather happy. Dropped Eric Miller for Garrett Clevenger, clean relief appearance. Dropped Clevenger for Brent Suter, who was bad against Boston, and added Jorge Polanco, who's coming off the IL. And dropped Jacob Webb for Joe Jimenez, a clean relief appearance. Finally finished it off, dropping Zach Geloff for Ben Rice, 2 for 3 with a strikeout. I did, in fact, use all 10. My MVP this week, hey, it's Bryce Harper. It's 462 with a 481 on base, 7 runs, 3 doubles, 3 bombs, 5 RBIs, a walk, and only 1 strikeout. The least valuable hitter this week is Colton Cowser, 125 with a 176 and 5 strikeouts. Thanks for that help, buddy. Appreciate you. My Cy Young this week, I'm giving to a combination of Evan Phillips and Josh Hader. They got me the 4 saves that I needed to tie that category. 6 relief appearances between them, nothing earned, and looks like 8 strikeouts between them, and a whip less than half of 1 per inning. Very nice.
Yeah, tie the category though, Joe. That's a category you won in saves 4-2. But yeah, you needed both of those cats.
Yeah, I needed both of those to win that category. You're right. John Gray is, in fact, my Cy Young, a 9-inning appearance, a win, a loss, 2 homers, 5 strikeouts, a 9 ERA, and a 144. You mentioned the first start of the week from him. It was against our Mets season. He was coming in with an ERA south of 3, so how would I possibly believe that he would give up 9 earned in 3 innings? I did not mind the win for my Metsies, but damn did I mind it for my fantasy squad. For Henry on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes a very, very nice 7 for 30.
Oh, nice. 228.
233. You're in the ballpark. 6 runs, a double, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 3 steals, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. The 6 runs, nope, that doesn't play. The 2 homers, nope, that doesn't play. The 5 RBIs, nope, that doesn't play. None of this actually plays, as all of these categories were so one-sided.
Yeah, I would say the only thing, if you want to
His
say something that could have played, if he could find a way to get one reliever in, like one clean relief appearance to flip whip. When whip is 1.2 to 1.15, it really only takes one reliever doing something great for you. Maybe even two. If one kind of fizzled, then you get another one on top. But I think one thing maybe he could have benefited from was like maybe one or two more bullpen pieces doing something for him.
It's possible. It's possible. Let's take a look at his moves and see where he may have been able to get that. He used 9, so there's the first question. David Peterson gets added for Hurston Waldrop. 6 innings, a win, a homer, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 3, and a 117 on the other side of that John Gray start again in Texas. He drops Johan Rojas for Harrison Bader, 1 for 2 with a pinch hit double. He added Hulk Hogan Harris, 5 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 180 and a 120 against Kansas City. This guy might actually be something, because he did pitch well against Minnesota as well in the final matchup, but Henry benched him, and rightfully so.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah,
Avoid that loss that would have untied that category. Shooting for the moon on a win for the Oakland Athletics against Pablo Lopez. Just a lot of risk involved.
no doubt. No doubt. Anthony Rizzo gets dropped for Joey Meneses, over 3 with 2 strikeouts. He drops Edmundo Sosa for Dylan Moore, 2 for 4, 3 runs, a double, a homer, an RBI, a steal, and a walk, all on the day that he picked him up. Fuck that guy in particular. He drops Ivan Herrera for Danny Jansen, 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. He drops Harrison Bader for Wenzel Perez, 1 for 4 with a double and 2 strikeouts. He drops Danny Jansen for Ryan Jeffers, 1 for 3 with a run, an RBI, and a walk. And finally finishes it up dropping Jeffers for Shea Langoliers, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. His MVP this week goes to Bryan De La Cruz. 286 with a 286 on base, 3 runs, a double, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to Bobby Witt. 125 with a 125, a run, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts with 2 errors. My goodness, he was bad this week, and thank you for being bad this week. The Cy Young goes to his ace, Freddie Peralta. 6 innings, a win, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 083 whip. The Cy Young, of course, goes to Luis Gil. An inning and a third, a loss, a bomb, 2 walks, a strikeout, 47.25 on the ERA, and a 750 whip.
Do you know how many
Benjamin,
runs he gave up? Was it like the 9 that
I
John
believe it
Gray gave
was.
up?
I think it was 7. I think it was 7
7.
earned runs over an inning and a third.
Yeah. Well, versus 9 over 3. I mean, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
pretty much the same thing there.
yeah, like I said earlier when we discussed this matchup, I think you just had a stronghold on him from the beginning, and I don't think that there was ever going to be a way that he could find a way to win it. He got it really, really close on Sunday. Like at one point, it was something like 9-8 or 10-9. He was just behind by 1, but as the day continued, you continue to stretch that lead, and I feel like Henry needs to feel fortunate at this point because he's had some really tough matchups. He's now taken 2 losses in a row, and he's only 3 under 500 and in 8th place. So, considering that 6 out of the 7 teams that are in the top 7 spots were expected to be in those spots, the Haber brothers, Jay Ferraro, Joe Schubert, myself, Bobby Russo, with one surprise being the new guy, 6 out of 7 are what you would expect. And Henry, who had an incredible year last year, went to the playoffs in his first year. He knew that there was going to be more challenges, that this was going to be a more challenging season, and yet only 3 under 500 in striking distance. So next thing he's got to deal with is me. Like he's got to find a way to get through me and beat me. And if he could do that, he's got a pretty decently favorable schedule ahead of him. So deal with one thing at a time, take care of business, beat a guy that's in front of you, and start from there. And then maybe a hot streak is coming, maybe a strong third act to the season. So you got to start somewhere, but at a certain point, like he's going to have to catch steam. But he's not in as much trouble as a Frank, a Bryan Lebo, a Jason Ashby, a Jimmy Dunlap. He's still in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah, I would think so. Sitting right around 500, that's where you want to be when the third act comes so that you can put it in gear and get yourself to where you want to go.
And how are you feeling?
I feel great. I mean, I love the fact that I'm on a nice little winning streak here after dropping a couple, and I'm sitting in fifth place. I don't love this team. I've made it very clear I don't love this team, but I'm going to be playing this team as hard as humanly possible to try to make the playoffs for the 11th straight year. So let's let's uh let's 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 hope that now that everybody's healthy and this team is as constructed, it's going to get in gear and get going. Because
It looks promising though, Joe. I mean, 4 wins in a row, and now you got Costas, and then you got me next.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, those are two matchups that I mean, I feel like you're a tough matchup for me. I know that you're going to be a tough matchup for Costas. So this very well could be 6 wins in a row. And maybe that surge to the bye that you got in the second half last year. You never know. I know it's going to take some work and obviously playoffs first, but I'm fairly confident that's going to happen. It's just a matter of where you're going to be in the standings.
We shall see, my friend. I certainly hope to get to the semifinals for the what is that, the eighth straight year?
It would be 8.
The eighth straight. All right, let's dive into the next matchup here. It's going to be Frank Bucco taking down an 11-8 win over Cody Piatt. What'd you see here, buddy?
Well, this is the upset of the week for sure. Frank hit the absolute crap out of the ball. I mean, we had a lot of great batting average. Talk about Bryan Lebo. We're going to get into Jay Ferraro and Bobby Russo, how well they hit, but 329 batting average, a 382 on base. I mean, no one was stopping Frank on batting average this week. Let's just face it.
Yep.
But 15 home runs, I mean, that was better than your 14. He had
Mm-hmm.
32 runs, still lost that category somehow. But yeah, Frank played this great. His pitching was good enough. And Cody, he ran into just a tough opponent here. And it's unfortunate
Mm-hmm.
for Cody because a lot of his numbers are good too. But these were really, really tough offensive numbers to compete with.
No doubt. No doubt. Coming in, it was 10-8 in favor of Frank. Coming out, it is 11-8. Doubles were tied, and Frank took that. Errors, Frank had a 2-error advantage, took 2 on Sunday to tie that category. That's kind of disappointing. But he did finish it up by taking the wins category by getting a win on Sunday. So again, 11-8 is the final. Close categories. Frank wins by the 3 doubles, a win, and 2 losses. Cody wins by the run and the triple, and they tied in errors and saves. For Frank on his bench this week, Benjamin, he didn't have one. He didn't have anything on his bench, as expected. For his moves this week, he drops Danny Jansen for Patrick Bailey, 1 for 5 with a run and a strikeout. Drops Adrian Morihone for Justin Slayton, clean relief appearance. Drops Anthony Banda for TJ McFarland, clean relief appearance. Drops Cole Sands for Simeon Woods Richardson on a good stream. 6 innings, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 3 and a 1 against Tampa. He drops Justin Slayton for Brian Baker, who was good in his relief appearance and got the win. He drops Eloy Jimenez for Miguel Vargas, 1 for 3 with an RBI. Drops Simeon Woods Richardson for Bo Brisky, 2 innings and a relief appearance. He drops Brian Baker for Will Vest for a clean relief appearance. Finishes it up, dropping Miguel Vargas for Eloy Jimenez, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. And rest in peace, Jesus Luzardo, who's on the 60-day IL with some sort of arm thing. Don't know if we're going to see him the rest of the way. His MVP this week, who the hell else is it? But it's Shohei Ohtani, 458 with a 567 on base percentage, 8 runs, 3 doubles, 4 bombs, 11 RBIs, a steal, 6 walks, and only 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, that goes to the guy you traded for, Vinny Pasquantino, 136 with a 174 on base, a run, a double, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young goes to a guy that he traded for. That's Ronaldo Lopez. 5 innings, a win, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a 160. And the Cy Young goes to a guy who also he traded for. That's Jose Barrios. 5 innings, a loss, 3 bombs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 9, and a 140 whip. Yikes. But again, all these guys that he traded for, all these guys that are on his team, got him the win this week. So good on you to beat a top team here. For Cody on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes a 5 for 18.
Ugh. Did we not just do this? Did we have 5 for 18 already? I feel like we did.
I don't know.
Um, 318.
Nah, it's a 278.
Yeah.
4 runs, a double, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. For his moves this week, Joe Mantiply gets dropped for Sean Reed-Foley in a clean relief appearance. Mike Talkman gets dropped for Sean Jelly in a clean relief appearance. He drops Ryan Weathers for Sean Murphy, 2 for 5 with a double and a strikeout. How did that guy get on the waiver wire? That's pretty surprising. Shelby Miller gets dropped for Jackson Churio, who did not play the day he was added, 1 for 3 with a run and a strikeout the next day, and adds Will Smith for a clean relief appearance. He drops Sean Jelly for Sir Anthony Ramirez, Sir Anthony Dominguez. That's the guy's name, Sir Anthony Dominguez, who was not good in his relief appearance. Finally, drops out Ryan Pepio, Jackson Churio, Sean Reed-Foley, and Sir Anthony Dominguez all on the same day for Sean Armstrong, who never appeared, Jonathan Cannon for a terrible, terrible start in Detroit, and Kenta Maeda on the other side, who ends up taking a loss as well. He drops Kenta Maeda for Keegan Thompson, who was good in his relief appearance. His MVP this week, who else is it but Gunnar Henderson, 333 with a 467 on base percentage, 9 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 5 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to Heliot Ramos, 111 with a 143 on base percentage, 2 runs, 2 bombs, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. So he must have had like 2 hits on the week, and both of them being the bombs. The Cy Young goes to Bailey Ober, who had a complete game 2-run effort against Oakland, 9 innings, a win, 2 bombs, all solo, 10 strikeouts, a 2 and an 044, with a shout out to Mitch Keller's 7 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts as well. The Cy Young goes to Jonathan Cannon, like I mentioned earlier. 1 inning, he gave up 9 earned. That's a 45 ERA and a 7 whip. Disgusting. Benji, are we going to be seeing another rookie manager in the playoffs this year? Cody is sitting very pretty at 23 games over 500 with the second half to go. We've seen rookies do this before. We've seen Christian Wood in his rookie season bubble up to the top and then eventually fall back to the middle of the pack and miss the playoffs. We've seen guys like Henry Collins come in and just sort of sit around the middle, undulating until they make their move up until the playoffs. This is a guy who's come in and taken kind of the world by storm and was a top 5 team early, keeps it stretching out, and here we are mid-season, and he's sitting in 4th place. How are you feeling about this rookie manager?
Yeah, it's a very fair question, right? I mean, even an Adam Lowenstein who came back after he was with us in 2005 and then took an 18-year break and came back last year, not a playoff team, but still an over 500 team. So, yeah, it's been really impressive what all the rookies or the young managers in our league have been doing. It didn't even take Chris Levy that long to be fighting for a spot. He was in the league in 14, and then he was just 1 stat out in 2019. 3 years later, he's in the finals with Jimmy Dunlap. So it's sometimes a developing process for a lot of guys, and for other guys, it happens pretty quick. Bobby Russo gets into the playoffs his second year. He joined in 2018, then all of a sudden, 2019, he's in. I certainly did not expect this type of success from a new manager in our league. I would figure there would be some growing pains, learning the style, that different managers manage different from each other. But yeah, he's been really impressive. It's been kind of a back and forth with the scores, right? He wins 11-9, and then he loses 12-7, and then he wins 18-2, and then he ties, and then he loses 11-8, but then he wins 9-8 and 12-9, then he ties, then he wins 14-4, 11-9, loses 11-8. It's been kind of back and forth, but the wins have been pretty strong, like rather a 14-4 win and an 18-2 win on Ari. So those are the two reasons that he's really in comfortable shape. That he had that big win on Ari, where everyone wants to get a big win on Ari. He's gotten the biggest one so far. And that crazy offensive week he had against Bobby, and he wins 14-4. You take those two wins out of it, and he's in a much less comfortable spot. So is this team for real? I just don't know. I know that we have 10 weeks to go and still a lot more time where teams are going to change, and the managers are going to make different decisions based on the standings, based on who they're playing against, how desperate they are to get a stat or two, or dropping players that they normally wouldn't want to, but got to go get that stat on Sunday, got to go get that relief appearance or that inning or those strikeouts, and you lose a player that maybe you need 4 weeks from now. I mean, I'm throwing out hypotheticals because I've been there and I've seen other managers do it. I don't know how Cody is going to react in the last 3, 4 weeks of the season where all these teams are jumbled together trying to solidify his spot. He's still a very young manager. So hard to say whether he's a contender, a pretender, but I do know that I've been extremely impressed with his style, the way he's actually been playing day-to-day management. You see the ads that he's making, whether it's at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., or during the day. They're all calculated decisions to go get that bullpen piece, to go get a pitcher that he likes maybe in a day or two that's going to be starting, to fill up his lineup with someone logical against a bad pitcher. Like, all the moves seem pretty darn calculated. Sure, you can throw a cannon from the White Sox once in a while and it'd be a mistake. But in general, very, very logical plays. So I give him a lot of credit for where he is right now. And then as far as Frank goes, if we're going to look at the other side, he's got to get to 500 first. But
Yeah.
he to win 2 weeks in a row, he's I'm not going to say he's in striking distance, but he's not dead. And he's a run away from getting into this, but got to get to 500 first, and he's still 16 under. So we got Cody 23 over, Frank 16 under, 10 weeks left. It, you need a lot of help, and you need to do a lot of damage soon to even catch up to a guy like Cody, and you would need a Cody to really start to falter. But who knows? We've seen some crazy things happen in the bigs, but these are two very, very interesting teams, totally different styles. They've made trades with each other, so it was interesting to see them finally stand off and battle it out. And yeah, good for Frank to get this win. Good for Cody to not get rocked in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And this should be a lot of fun watching these two managers for the final 10 weeks.
Yeah, don't look now, but Frank is motivated and he is hungry. He was sitting in 16th place a couple of weeks ago and he said to himself, I'm going to get this thing in gear and get it moving. He's won the last 2 weeks and put himself in position to start climbing his way up. He's in 11th right now. Like that's you say he's not in striking distance. I tend to agree with you. He needs to get to 500 first, but he's not that far out. He's only what, like 13 out of a playoff spot right now. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive to be in last place just a couple of weeks ago, fight his way up over 4 or 5 teams and put himself in contention to where he can see the promised land. It's just very, very far away right now and he needs to do some work to get there.
Right. And the fact that his schedule becomes pretty favorable soon. He's got to get through these 2 weeks. Adam, that's a coin flip. I have no idea who's going to win an Adam Lowenstein Frank Bucco matchup. Two completely different styles of magic. But then he's got Jay Ferraro. If he can somehow weather the storm against Jay and keep that close, he's got Mike Sherman and then Costas as his next two. That's very, very promising. but he's got to get a reasonable score against Adam and Jay Ferraro to even make those make sense.
Absolutely. Speaking of Jay Ferraro, let's go ahead and dive into his matchup with Bobby Russo, which, as you said in the lead, was the matchup of the week that we were watching, and it did not disappoint, Benjamin.
No, this is incredible.
What'd
And
you see here?
I thought it was going to be an offensive onslaught from one of them down the stretch. Turned out to be partly true, but a lot of it had to do with the pitching. And yeah, this was not what I expected. And the fact that Jay had that lead on Saturday with some incredible statistics to have to overtake, I texted Bobby and I'm like, look, you did all you could, man. Like, he's just too tough. There's still a chance, and you have four more ads than him. So, like, you do have that advantage, but just keeping it close is good. And hey, you still have a chance. And something happened on Sunday, and we'll get into it, but Bobby made one of the more incredible, unexpected turnarounds that you could to at least come back. And then, of course, a Sunday night stat from Jay made it even closer to make it a one-run game. This could have been 9-7. Instead, it's 9-8. Amazing matchup, arguably matchup of the year so far.
No doubt. It was, in fact, 10-7 in Jay's favor going in. It comes out 9-8 in Bobby's favor. Jay had a 4 RBI advantage, and Bobby ends up tying that. Jay had an 8 2/3 innings advantage, and Bobby flips that. Wins are tied. Bobby takes that. Walks by a pitcher. Bobby had a 1 walk advantage. Unfortunately, he gave up too many there, but he did flip the strikeouts because Jay had a 2 strikeout advantage. So again, 10-7 going in, 9-8 in Bobby's favor coming out. Close categories this week. Bobby wins by 3 home runs, a win, 2 losses. Jay wins by a run, 2 doubles, 2 strikeouts by a batter, 3 ticks on the batting average, and 4 walks by a pitcher. They tied in triples, RBIs, errors, and saves. For Bobby on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 1 for 3.
Okay, cool. Another 333. It's the second
Correct.
one of the show.
It is with a double and a strikeout. None of that plays. He did, in fact, only use 6 ads. And Bobby mentioned to us when he was here last week that he's not the type of guy who sets up for the week ahead, and that's something he wants to start doing. Again, 6 ads only this week. Doesn't set up in the on Sunday. So we've got Mitchell Parker getting dropped. We got Will Benson getting dropped for Jose Siri 0 for 4. Siri gets dropped for Chas McCormick, 1 for 3 with a double, an RBI, and a strikeout. He drops Drew Smiley for Mike Yastrzemski, 1 for 1 with a run and then pulled with an injury. So he drops Chas McCormick and Mike Yastrzemski for Sam Long, who had a terrible relief appearance, and MJ Melendez, 1 for 4 with a run, a double, and 2 strikeouts. Finishes it up with Kyle Freeland, a dangerous start against Washington in Colorado. He goes 6 innings, a walk, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned, in 0-33. Very nice indeed. The MVP this week goes to Stephen Kwan, 333 with a 385 on base, 7 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, a walk, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to TJ Friedl, 133 with a 188 on base, only an RBI and 3 strikeouts. The Cy Young this week goes to, I'm going to give it to Reese Olson, 12 1/3, a win, 11 strikeouts, a 146 and an 065 whip, with a shout out to Kyle Freeland, 6 innings, and Tanner Bybee, who had a nice 6-inning, 12 strikeout appearance. The Cy Young goes to Joel Piamps, 2 innings, a loss, a bomb, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 13-50, and a 3. And he actually gave up all 3. He gave up runs in all 3 of his relief appearances this week. So that's kind of shitty. For Jay on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 4 for 13.
Wow, all these ones that are like really close to 333, and then I have to 4 for 13.
Correct.
317.
308 with 3 runs, a homer, an RBI, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. The only thing that plays is the RBI. Uh, he did have a Bryce Miller benching who would have gotten him a win, and that also would have been helpful for him as well. His moves this week: dropped 4 on Monday. AJ Puck, Spencer Horowitz, Nathaniel Lowe, and Jackson Churio. He adds John Schreiber for a bad relief appearance. Adds JJ Bleday 3 for 4 with a run, 3 doubles, and 2 RBIs. What a day. Mark Canha 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, and Aaron Bummer for a clean relief appearance. He drops Mark Canha and Yuki Matsui for Nolan Shanuel, an 0 for 4 with a strikeout, and John Brebbia, who didn't see the field. He drops Aaron Bummer for Jose Miranda, 2 for 5 with a run, a homer, 3 RBIs, and a strikeout. Drops John Schreiber for Miguel Andujar, 1 for 3 with a strikeout. Drops Andujar back for old friend Spencer Horowitz, 1 for 3 with a walk. Drops John Brebbia for JP Sears, who was terrible against Minnesota. And drops that guy and Gavin Williams on Sunday. He used all 10. His MVP this week goes to Ian Happ, surprisingly enough. 318 with a 348 on base, 5 runs, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 9 strikeouts. Is ugly, but did have that nice on base percentage. With a shout out to Adley Rutschman's 458 with a 552 on base. Very nice. His least valuable hitter. I said this before, man. Ha-Sung Kim is not exactly hitting the ball anymore. 176 with a 263 on base, 2 runs, a steal, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 2 errors. Very, very bad week from Ha-Sung Kim. And when we look at Ha-Sung Kim overall, he's not hitting. He was hitting very well in April, but he's down to 220 now, 10 homers, 15 steals. I'm surprised to see the batting average that low.
Yeah, it might just be the Luis Ariz effect, just that the fact that now he's in the leadoff spot, maybe Kim's not comfortable where he's batting. I really don't know the answer to the question of why there's regression, but when he had the season that he had in the second half, I feel like we were surprised by it. You know, James McCloskey was like, all right, I'm going to pick up this guy against Frank so that he basically kicks the crap out of Frank, and then he never looked back and he had an awesome year. But I feel like it was a surprise at the time when he was doing as well as he was. And then, yeah, maybe the scouting just figured it out. Where's the hole in the swing? How do we get him out? Where is he uncomfortable? Where do we have to pitch him? Might be just something like that. But now he needs to make an adjustment because obviously, yeah, he's scuffling.
Yeah. The Cy Young goes to Paul Skeens. 13 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 15 strikeouts, a 138 and a 108. Holy shit, that kid's for real. The Cy Young goes to Shota Imanaga. 3 innings, a loss, 3 bombs, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 30 ERA. 30 with a 4 whip. That came against our Metsies because we bombed the crap out of this guy in the matchup. Benji, this was in fact the matchup of the week, my guy, and this was a crazy matchup. Both these guys fighting real hard for playoff spots. In fact, they're back to back in the standings right now.
Yeah,
Jay looks like an 11 over, Bobby 7 over.
Yeah, and both of these guys have done pretty well in the strikeout category as far as in their batters. They're second and third. Bobby is second with 545 strikeouts from a batter, and Jay is third place with 552 strikeouts from a batter. So Jay comfortably on top of that, but I was kind of surprised with some of these other stats of Jay against opponents. As far as the pitching goes, he's 3-9 in innings pitched against opponents, 5-6 in wins, 5-6 in losses. Of course, saves we'd expect, 7-3 with 2 ties. 4-8 in home runs given up, but 8-4 in walks given up, 4-8 against opponents in strikeouts, 7-5 in ERA, 8-4 in WHIP, and 500 in relief appearance, 6-6. Pretty unusual when you think of Jay and what he's strong in. I feel like we'd expect better numbers against opponents in the pitching. When I look at Bobby's team, we talked about how good he is specifically on base and walks. He's third in our league in walks with 283. And in on base percentage, he's second just to Adam Lowenstein. Adam's at 345. I'm tied with Bobby with a 343. So, I mean, we kind of know what Bobby's team does. I'm still not sure of what Jay's is. Um, more so with the hitting than the pitching, because we know the I can't I have such a hard time pronouncing his name on the Cubs. Imanaga,
Shota Imanaga.
Imanaga, Ranger Suarez schemes, like these are lethal pitchers, but yet Jay's not really that strong against opponents in a lot of these pitching stats. He's mostly underwhelming. The offense, we know they're all pesky guys, right? They're all pains in the butts, but he's not really. He's basically right in the middle of everybody with batting average. It's there's nothing really like that's really standing out on what is making him so strong. Why has he been still over 500? I just think it's just the fact that he's been playing strong against opponents in specific stats. He's in the middle of the pack in home runs. He's in the middle of the pack in RBIs. He's in the middle of the pack in runs. Yeah, there's really nothing. I mean, maybe runs. He's a little like he's fifth place in runs of all of us. Um, Batting average, yeah, all down towards the middle. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. Against opponents, Jay so far is 7-5 in runs, 5-6 in doubles, 8-2 in triples for what that is, 4-5 with three ties in home runs, 6-5 in RBIs, 8-3 in stolen bases, 500 in walks, 6-6. 7-5 in strikeouts, like not that incredible based on the fact that he's one of the best at not striking out. Four and
Mhm.
five in errors, 7-5 in average, and then 5-7 in on base percentage. I don't know what this team is. Like why it's over 500 seems to be kind of like just here everywhere. So all I can say is that's Jay Ferraro. Like that's probably just the management, him looking at the score. Where can I win a stat here? I'm willing to lose a stat to gain a stat here. But in
Mhm.
general, I'm less surprised by the production and how good Bobby's team is doing versus what Jay Ferraro is doing, which is just mind blowing. Besides two or three of the best pitchers in the league right now.
Myself, Jay Ferraro, and Bobby Russo are separated by 2.5 games for the 5, 6, and 7 spots right now. That's pretty insane. And if that's the kind of picture that we get as this second half starts to begin, I'm wondering if it's going to be something like that close at season's end when we get a heartbreaker of somebody on the outside looking in by 2 games or fewer.
Absolutely. That's what it's seeming to be. It's going to be one of the four of us or a Cody that has their heart broken this year. Maybe there's some other guy that sneaks in and then breaks two of our hearts, but it's feeling like that the seven that are fighting for the top six are going to be doing it the rest of the year. Maybe another one jumps in, but it's hard for me to think that of the top seven, one of them is really just going to start hitting the skids and drop in the last 10 weeks. It's possible, but it's hard for me to see it.
And you know what? Don't count out Henry Collins, who's only 5 back of Bobby right now. So, and if you count him in, then you've got to count in Adam and
Yeah.
Mike Sherman and
Yeah.
Frank, who
Frank.
and
Yeah.
Costas, who are all right there. Like this is all still very, very, very close. This is going to be a crazy finish to the season, man. I absolutely am looking forward to week 13 and beyond.
Yeah, me too. And I'm also interested to see who is that team that goes on the second half run. Do they start like just dominating teams 13-7, 14-4, like all of a sudden, like three awesome wins in a row? Like, oh my God, like Adam Lowenstein, three amazing wins in a row. And now all of a sudden we need to start discussing the possibility of him being in. I hope there is a guy like that. I want someone
Mm-hmm.
else to crash the party, but it's seeming like the seven that are at the top right now, the seven that are over 500, have been playing the best fantasy baseball all season. Like it's been showing, and we've been talking about every week how good these 7 managers have been. And I have to say that there's a reason why those are the 7 teams that are over 500. They've just been playing the best ball for the first 12 weeks.
Guys, we're going to be doing part 2 tomorrow. We'll get our managers of the week during that show when we get with Jason Ashby for the final 4 matchups here. So, Benji, I appreciate you being here with me, my friend. Thanks so much.
It was a pleasure, Joe. It was a really, really fun week, and obviously there's more intensity to follow. So I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it, and it's really nice to be able to break this all down with you. So thanks again.
Thank you, guys. And thank you all for being here and making this league what it is, because without you guys, we wouldn't have a show. Without you guys, we don't have a league. So thanks so much for making it every bit of as exciting as it is each and every week. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy Game 7 of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals tonight. Edmonton versus Florida. Ben, who you got?
I got Edmonton here. It's weird because I always say whoever wins the first game of the series is going to win the series, but I think this might be the exception. And what's really amazing about this game, Joe, is that no matter what, there's history. We've never seen in any sport a team come down from 3-0 to win the thing in a championship series. We saw it in the ALCS in 04. We've seen it in certain hockey matchups. Never even seen it in any basketball series. But we've never seen this in a world championship series. The fact that a team is 3-0 is going to tie it, potentially win it, or does Florida win their first championship? And I always root for teams that have never won a championship to win it for the first time, because I'd like to see that. But no matter what tonight, it's incredible. Like, no matter who wins, this is an amazing story and great for the game of hockey. I know we're a baseball podcast and baseball is our love, but hockey is a beautiful game, and especially this time of year, there's really it is one of the most underrated tournaments in all of sports, and how any team can beat any team. Whoever wins the President's Trophy and whoever has the most wins never wins the whole thing. It really is an incredible tournament, and no matter who wins tonight, I think we're going to have a great show. I'm just hoping it's a great game, a 1-goal game. Maybe it even goes to overtime. So I'm really looking forward to it for sure. Thanks for bringing it up, and yeah, looking forward for more great fantasy baseball from us.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Until next time, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.